Liverpool's streets are steeped in legends of power struggles, betrayals, and brutal retribution, a gritty landscape where only the most ruthless climb the ranks, and even fewer manage to stay at the top. This port city has long been a gateway for illicit goods and a hotbed for criminal enterprise. From the high-rip gangs of the 19th century to the infamous Tommy Tacker Comfort and Curtis Cocky Warren, Liverpool's underworld is woven deeply into the city's history, its roots running from dockside brawls to sophisticated international drug rings. By the 1990s, the underworld's power was shifting in unprecedented ways. Curtis Warren, a masterful manipulator with a keen sense for business, emerged as one of the most prolific drug lords in Europe, building an empire that spanned continents and even earned him a spot on the prestigious Sunday Times Rich list. Simultaneously, a new powerhouse emerged, the Canal Farm Cartel, also known as the Han Firm. Founded by two brothers from Liverpool's high-end area, this cartel quickly established itself as one of the most powerful and secretive criminal syndicates in the UK. Known for violent enforcement, drug trafficking, and blackmail, the Han Firm's ruthless tactics ensured that its control was absolute, with no room for competition or betrayal. In a city that thrives on street legends and whispers, it's no surprise that Liverpool's youth grew up under the influence of such tales. Anthony Duffy was one of them. Born and raised in Kirkby, Duffy grew up in a city where ambition often equated to risk, and power came with a heavy cost. He was drawn to the dangerous allure of the underworld from a young age. By his late 20s, Duffy had already become a well-known figure in Liverpool's drug scene. His reputation was built on boldness and his relentless pursuit of the next big score, earning him both respect and a fair share of enemies. For Duffy, each risk felt like a step closer to the infamy he'd always wanted. But in the criminal world, ambition is a double-edged sword. Duffy's relentless drive eventually led him into a treacherous plan, a high-stakes heist targeting a cannabis grow operation run by two of Liverpool's most feared figures, Sean Walmsley and Christopher Kenny. These men weren't just drug dealers, they were hardened operators embedded deeply within Liverpool's drug network. Robbing them was akin to signing a death warrant, and as the details of Duffy's plan leaked, it was clear that someone within his circle had betrayed him, tipping off Walmsley and Kenny and setting the stage for violent retribution. As paranoia closed in on him, Duffy sensed that his time was running out. He knew that Walmsley and Kenny wouldn't overlook an affront of this magnitude, that revenge was not only inevitable, it was imminent. On the night of May 27th, 2014, that vengeance finally arrived. Duffy was lured to Melling Avenue, under the guise of a drug deal. Unaware of the trap awaiting him, he approached the location, completely unarmed. Walmsley and Kenny lay in wait, ready to strike. In a swift, brutal ambush, Duffy was attacked with merciless efficiency, sustaining 28 stab wounds in moments. Witnesses later reported hearing the attackers taunt him as he fell, calling him a house robber as they delivered the fatal blows. Duffy's blood stained the streets, and his killers vanished into the night. He was rushed to the hospital, but his injuries were too severe, and he succumbed shortly after arrival. This savage murder sent shockwaves through the Liverpool underworld, a reminder of the unforgiving code that reigns over the streets. Loyalty is currency, betrayal is a death sentence, and those who dare to reach for more must always watch their backs. In the wake of Duffy's murder, the authorities launched a relentless investigation. An operation codenamed Blenheim uncovered a complex web of criminal networks operating from Liverpool to Scotland and beyond. Among the prime targets was the Welsh crime family, helmed by Christopher Welsh Jr., a man the media dubbed the Scouse Escobar. With a genius for logistics and a ruthless ambition to match, Welsh Jr. orchestrated a vast drug network, sending couriers on over 100 trips between Liverpool and Glasgow. His carefully constructed operation funneled vast quantities of narcotics throughout the UK, amassing a fortune estimated to be worth hundreds of millions. But even the most successful criminals know that no empire lasts forever. Welsh Jr.'s web of crime eventually attracted the attention of law enforcement, leading to a series of high-stakes raids that dismantled his operation and brought him to justice. Yet, for every kingpin captured, another waited in the wings, eager to fill the power vacuum left behind. For Liverpool's underworld, Welsh's arrest was simply part of the cycle, the city's notorious drug trade carrying on undeterred. Sean Walmsley and Christopher Kenny, the men behind behind Anthony Duffy's brutal murder weren't content to merely hold on to their power, even as they were arrested, tried, and sentenced to life in prison for their roles in Duffy's death. Walmsley refused to stay locked up. In a meticulously calculated plan, he feigned severe health issues, shedding weight to bolster the illusion, and convincing officials he needed external medical evaluations. On February 21st, 2017, his deception culminated in a daring escape. While being escorted from Aintree University Hospital, Walmsley's associates sprang into action. Two masked men ambushed the unarmed guards, brandishing an Uzi submachine gun and a knife, forcing them to release Walmsley. He disappeared in a waiting car, initiating one of the most intense manhunts in recent UK history. Operation Brink, a nationwide task force dedicated to his recapture, mobilized rapidly. Sightings of Walmsley cropped up across the UK, and even rumors circulated of sightings abroad. For 18 months, he evaded capture, relying on support from a network of loyal associates who shielded him from authorities. His defiance, his audacious escape, and his months on the run cemented his reputation as a true legend in Liverpool's underworld. Finally, in August 2018, intelligence led police to a house in Leeds. Armed officers stormed the property, catching Walmsley off guard. After a tense confrontation and the use of a taser, the authorities had him back in custody. His brief taste of freedom was over, but his legend had only grown. Walmsley's additional years tacked onto his sentence for his escape only burnished his status in UK gangland culture. Stories of his brazen getaway filtered through the streets, adding to the tales of defiance that Liverpool's criminals thrive upon. For those entrenched in the underworld, his exploits became a symbol of audacious resistance, a story of unyielding spirit against a system determined to keep him locked away. Yet Liverpool's criminal landscape is ever evolving. With Walmsley and Kenny out of the picture, new contenders step up to seize power, filling the void left by fallen titans. Fresh alliances form, rivalries flare, and betrayals brew in the city's shadowy corners. The cycle of ambition, greed, and violence remains unbroken, ingrained in the fabric of Liverpool's streets. Anthony Duffy's tragic story endures as a haunting reminder of the unforgiving rules that govern Liverpool's underworld, a world where ambition meets fatal consequences and every player is ultimately expendable. Duffy's tale has become part of the city's gritty tapestry, a story passed among those who dare to dream of power, but know that in Liverpool's criminal world there are no guarantees. For the thrill seekers and storytellers of Liverpool, Duffy's life and death serve as both caution and legend, a testament to the iron law of the underworld. In this ruthless game, the players may change, but the stakes remain as high as ever. The brutal reality of Liverpool's criminal world is that power doesn't come without consequence. Anthony Duffy's rise and fall reflect the cutthroat code of a city where loyalty is often a fragile currency and even the smallest misstep can be fatal. But as new players stake their claims, Liverpool's streets remain a battleground for dominance, ambition, and an insatiable hunger for control that has persisted through generations. Following Duffy's death and the imprisonment of Walmsley and Kenny, the Liverpool underworld saw a power vacuum, a phenomenon that rarely goes unchallenged. For ambitious newcomers, the fall of powerful figures like Duffy and his killers was an invitation, a bloody opportunity to fill the void and seize control over lucrative drug operations and gang territories. What follows each downfall in Liverpool's criminal scene is a dangerous scramble, as alliances shift and rivalries reignite. For each gang, the message is clear: respect is earned through fear, dominance through violence, and betrayal always is punished by blood. The vacuum left by Duffy's death also laid bare the relentless cycle that Liverpool's streets have witnessed for centuries. With the arrest of infamous figures like Curtis "Cocky" Warren and the Welsh family crime syndicate, Liverpool's drug trade was momentarily shaken, yet the demand for power, profit, and influence kept the underworld as lively as ever. In fact, as authorities cracked down on the well-known syndicates, smaller gangs like the Croy Crew and the Strand Gang began to rise. Their territorial clashes brought a new wave of violence, sparking a cycle of bloodshed that would only serve to amplify the ongoing struggle for power. The strand of criminality running through Liverpool's veins is not easily severed, and for every Anthony Duffy, there are countless others ready to take the same risks, emboldened by the stories of those who came before them. Despite the constant threat of police crackdowns, the underworld continues to adapt, evolving from petty street feuds to well-organized criminal networks with international ties. And while many of the leaders behind these operations end up imprisoned or killed, their stories of defiance, ambition, and revenge inspire the next generation of would-be crime bosses, ensuring that the violent legacy of Liverpool's streets endures. One such case that has become a cautionary tale for Liverpool's youth is the saga of Duffy himself. Young men hear stories of his bold heist attempt, his audacity to challenge powerful figures, and ultimately, his brutal end. For some, his tale is a warning of the dangers that come with ambition in a world that allows no second chances. For others, it is a story of high stakes, a life of notoriety worth the risk, even if it ends in betrayal and bloodshed. This dark allure of fame, of being remembered, even for a fleeting moment, draws new recruits into Liverpool's relentless gang culture. The authorities, for their part, continue their tireless efforts to dismantle these organizations. Each high-profile arrest and seizure is met with media fanfare, but for every cartel dismantled, another group waits in the wings, ready to seize control. Police operations like Titan and Blenheim have brought down dozens of major players, yet the resilience of Liverpool's underworld remains a daunting challenge. The adaptability and persistence of these gangs suggest that the game is far from over, and the city's criminal landscape remains as robust as ever. The arrest and eventual capture of Sean Walmsley after his audacious escape only added to the mystique surrounding Liverpool's crime world. Walmsley's year and a half on the run, assisted by a clandestine network of allies and fortified by the criminal code of silence, is now a legend in itself. His return to prison, though ultimately a loss, is seen by many as a testament to the loyalty and resourcefulness that define Liverpool's hardened criminals. His story, like Duffy's, continues to be retold, a tale of risk, loyalty, and the indomitable spirit that fuels Liverpool's underworld. For those who live within this world, these stories are both inspiration and a stark reminder of what it takes to survive. The hierarchy in Liverpool's gangland is brutal and unforgiving, a place where survival often comes down to unrelenting aggression and an unbreakable network of connections. The city's criminal enterprises are ruled by a revolving door of power players, each more audacious than the last, all striving for a place at the top no matter the cost. As the sun sets on Liverpool's streets, the city's criminal legacy lives on, quietly brewing beneath the surface, hidden in dark alleyways, and whispered in the smoky corners of pubs. For those who dare to enter this world, the stakes remain deadly, the rewards seductive, and the consequences inevitable. In Liverpool's criminal empire, respect is earned with blood, fear is enforced by force, and only the ruthless survive. This world continues, its players ever changing, each new face a reminder that in Liverpool's underworld, ambition and betrayal are inseparable, and power is a prize that demands sacrifice. Anthony Duffy's story, now woven into the fabric of Liverpool's criminal folklore, is both a cautionary tale and an inspiration, a reminder that in this unforgiving city, the game goes on, and the players, no matter how legendary, are expendable.